excited. All right, it is Friday, and that means it's time for me, Elizabeth Ann Atkins of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, to join our superstar author, Joanie Lindenmeyer, to share with you everything you need to know to write, publish, and promote an amazing book. Welcome, Joanie.
Hi, Elizabeth. Good to see you. Good to
You
see you.
too. You
Your hair looks
too.
beautifully blonde today. You must be getting some sunshine.
Yes, thank you. Well, in Southern Oregon, I'm still in Ashland, and the sun is just bright, bright, bright. There was the first frost last night. We actually saw
Ooh,
snow on Mount Ashland, so there's snow in the mountains, but the sunshine through the window is amazing.
awesome, awesome, awesome,
Yeah.
awesome. Well, and tell Catherine hello. Tell
I
Catherine hello.
will. I'll do that, Joni. I will do that. So we have a really important topic for all of you writers out there today. We want to talk to you about how to use your book as a teaching or training tool because Joni and I are now using Joyously Free Stories and Tips to Live Your Truth as LGBTQ plus people, parents, and allies as a teaching tool. And we actually did a teacher training here in Southern Oregon earlier this week, and it was phenomenal. So, Joni, do you want to talk about how the book can form the foundation of the training?
Oh, absolutely. Well, let me start. Can you believe this? I don't even have a prop today. So
Oh
I
my
know, and I
gosh.
know it's like I've been running in different methods and rules here. But I think the biggest prop to know is that anybody's book can be a teaching tool. If it helps somebody to learn about themselves, learn about historical perspectives, learn about some new things going on. And so having that parachute open in your mind that you want to learn is the biggest thing. And that
Uh-huh.
was the thing with the staff training the other day, is that they were open to hear what we had to say and how it related to the book. And what's really cool, and simply put, for a teacher's perspective, there's 32 contributors in this book. And as I said to the teachers there, that's 32 lessons. Whether you want to take that as a 5-minute lesson or a 15-minute lesson or a 45-minute lesson, those stories that those people rawly shared, vulnerably shared, have so many key points in them that they could then take that as a lesson and go different directions. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and same with Elizabeth and myself. Elizabeth is just a guru of information, clarification, knowledge, heart, and that's me too, the heart part especially. But those are all parts of lessons that we can all use. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just the beginning of where we're going.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
Yes.
yes, yes. So when you write a book, you become the authority, and the word author is inside the word authority. And people are eager to learn. When you write a book, you are promising to solve a problem, whether that is to entertain, whether that's to instruct, inspire. So we are solving the problem of educating people more about LGBTQ plus topics. And as we said, our book has three audiences: people who are queer, advocates and allies, as well as parents of people who are LGBTQ plus. And
Yes.
so they're eager, they pick up the book because they're eager to learn. But now we're taking it to the next level. Who's on the front lines of nurturing our next generation of leadership and citizens? Teachers. So by doing trainings for teachers, and we were at a high school, but this could be for any grade level or colleges and universities, by educating teachers to help them be more sensitive and understand how to create a safe space in the classroom for LGBTQ plus students, we are helping to make the world a better place. And that's a mission that Joni and I have as individuals and as authors. So, Joni, can you share some of the feedback that we got from the teachers about our presentation?
They loved it. They loved that we created that safe space in a natural way. They love
Mhm.
that part because oftentimes when you're with many different students from different backgrounds, to create a space that everybody feels welcomed,
Hmm.
appreciated, and celebrated is
Hmm.
huge. And a lot of that is not just in the word. The words are really important, what you say and how you say them. Um, and you don't want to be sarcastic. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be crude. You want to be aware of where that person, where that student is. And so by choosing words, but more than that is the demeanor of the teacher. And so when you are encouraging people to learn something that they're unfamiliar with, it was really, really cool. Remember the example of me being golden? Do you remember that? I
Yeah.
love this. Everybody, and this might be a teaching moment for you in the LGBTQ world. A female such as myself that has never been sexually, sensually intimate with a man, I'm considered a gold star, golden. And for a man who's never been with a woman sexually, intimately, all of that is called a platinum. And I remember the
Hmm.
teacher that stood up and said, platinum. And that person just came out in an exuberant way to say, you know what, this is me. I'm proud of who I am. And the response from everybody in that room was so accepting. They realized that this teacher had just spoken something never been verbalized before, but they accepted and celebrated that person's joy
Hmm.
in their own identity. And
Yeah.
that's what we do in this book. And that's what we do, what we did at that staff training. The
Hmm.
historical perspective was really, really cool. Your
Hmm.
introduction and of saying why it's important. Oh my gosh, Elizabeth, when you talked about the new data talking about suicide rates and self-harm and those students and young people that are not able to live at their home because they're ostracized or they're kicked out of their home. When you presented the statistics on that, that
Hmm.
was phenomenal. That
Oh,
opened the
thank you.
door for all of us to say, what can we do to make a better world?
Hmm.
Oh, do you have any of
Hmm.
those statistics on your head right now? Oh my gosh, they were phenomenal.
Yeah, it was that I don't have the exact numbers, but a high number of LGBTQ plus students have been bullied, ostracized, rejected, disrespected, and not accepted as who they are, even by the teachers saying you can't express yourself like that. Some states actually have laws like don't say gay in Florida, where it's just not allowed to express who you truly
Mhm.
are. And if a person can't express who they are, they're stifled and it's difficult for their mental health for them to be able to learn. And that's why
Yes.
they're at school. But here's one thing that really stuck out with me in the statistics, and we used the um, Trevor Project statistics, and they do annual surveys of 18,000 LGBTQ plus young people to keep their finger on the pulse of topics and issues. And one thing that they said is the top place where they find acceptance and comfort and guidance is online. You know where the second place is? It's not home and family. It is school, teachers. That blew my mind
Yep.
because you would think, you would hope that family and home were the source of that um, number one source of comfort and guidance, but it's teachers. And that's why
Yes.
teachers need to know how to address and understand and teach people who are LGBTQ plus and all people who are
Yes.
different than the mainstream. And that
Right.
includes students of color, that includes students who may have physical handicaps, that may be students who come from other countries and have a language barrier. It includes everybody. And so I
Right.
was so proud of our ability to share these things in a way that they were received. And it also created a safe space for the teachers. As you
Yes.
said, they were sharing their personal information and stories that helps create a better bond between the teachers, which makes a better school environment.
Exactly, exactly. And it's beyond the teachers even because it was wonderful having the director there, the principal, the head honcho there with us throughout the whole
Mhm.
thing. And that was just
Mhm.
crucial because it's not just teachers, it's the leadership and it's the school board. And you can go up the I don't know, whatever you call that, up the realms of that because it's all involved. And if the school board and the administrators aren't aware of what is going on in the classroom with their students and what's going to happen, to benefit everybody, then we're a lost cause. So we need to go from top to bottom. We need to do it. I think of the iceberg. I think of the iceberg, and I think, Elizabeth, our training the other day, I think we just covered a little peak of that iceberg. What's underneath it all? What's underneath it all? And many of the teachers shared some of those things that were underneath it, and they appreciated that we had a book for them, of course, paid for by their district, which was awesome. And the tips that we have in here, we have stories and tips. There are numerous tips that a person, a teacher, a parent can go through here and say, I think I can incorporate that tip to help my student or my niece or my nephew or my daughter, my son, but they can actually use the tips. And then the teachers were looking at the resource page that we have in here of all the national resource guides that are available for everybody to learn
Mhm.
from. And so I just
Mhm.
think that's phenomenal.
Mhm. Yes, I love it. I love it. Another cool thing is that we didn't set out, all you writers out there, we did not set out with this intention, but it just
No,
evolved where Joni and I were here in Ashland. We were at the Pony Espresso Cafe in the conference room, and we just decided, wow, let's do this. And so if you set out from the beginning, as you're writing your book, to say this is going to be a teaching tool in my online course or in-person events, you can actually engineer the structure of the book in a way that it is a workbook
good
that
point.
includes thank you, lots of guidance, but also writing exercises, which by chance, Joni and I already had incorporated into Joyously Free because we both have been lifelong journalers. And
Yes,
also, we use prayer and meditation as an integral part of our daily guidance. And so people in Joyously Free get to have QR codes that lead them to guided meditations that help them live joyously free.
right,
So we already
right.
created the teaching tool, not knowing this was going to be on our path, but
Exactly.
actually,
Isn't that so cool? Isn't that
yeah.
so cool? And the teachers talked about that, as they're thumbing through the book, and we're
Hmm.
referring as we're talking our different
Hmm.
points from the great outline that you created via our collaboration. That outline was great because then we could relate this to this page, this to this page, and which
Hmm.
was very helpful for the teachers. But they
Hmm.
loved knowing that there was a meditation component in a QR code. Oh, they
Uh-huh.
loved that.
Yeah.
And, I saw one person even begin to write something in one of the reflective questions. And they
Oh,
weren't writing it
wow.
in the book, but they were putting it on their phone. It's like, oh,
Uh-huh.
that's a good question. And so they were
Hmm.
answering it themselves, which then
Oh,
leads to if the teacher can do it, guess the teacher can teach it, which will
yeah.
help
Yeah.
somebody else.
So very importantly, everybody at the training got a copy of the book. So they get to experience it themselves and then they can use it as a teaching tool for their students. And Joni pointed out to the teachers that because we have the 32 contributors, each of their stories is an actual lesson plan. Like they could read the story and discuss it. So there's just so many ways to go about doing this. And it's really, really exciting when you see the light in their eyes, like, oh, they're getting it. They understand, and it's making an impact and a transformation for people.
Yes. And the other good point that is so true. Well said, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
It reminds me of I can think of the one table of teachers. There was the math teacher, there was the social studies teacher, there was the art teacher, and all these teachers were thinking as we were talking of how this would relate to their students with their subject matter. So when you presented all that wonderful data, that was so cool for the math teacher to take a look at. The social studies teacher was loving the historical perspective of this. The art teacher was even looking at the cover of the book. How did you design this book? How did you design the inside of the book? And where does this lead to somebody? Is it welcoming? Is it a welcoming book when you have all this great burst of colors? And so it was so cool to see the teachers thinking of their subject matter in relationship to how they could move to the next step. And then, of course, you had the English teacher that was just going crazy, going, oh, yeah, 32 lessons from contributors. Oh, I could do this. I could set them up in pods and we could do this
Mhm.
or that. Or it was just so
Mhm.
fun to see the teachers' creative energies just going
Mhm.
crazy.
Mhm. Mhm. So another thing for all of you writers out there, if you want to write a book that can be used as a teaching or training tool, Think about you as the expert on your topic. What questions do people ask you the most? We all,
Mm,
as experts, I'm a book
mhm.
coach, publisher, editor, author. Joanie gets so many questions that inspired us to write Healing Religious Hurts as the second book after Joyously Free, because so many people who are LGBTQ plus have religious trauma. And so, what questions are people asking you? That was again, the inspiration for a whole nother book that Joni and I did together. So, you
Yes,
as the expert, whether you're a life coach or some kind of business owner or an everyday person who has maybe a survival story or just a whole new way of thinking or living, what do people ask you? Let
yes.
those start or plant the seeds for your book and become major themes that you focus on that can answer the questions. Because if those people you encountered are asking them, then there's a whole bunch of other people out there who probably have the same question. And again, you as the author are the authority. So how do you any thoughts on that, Joni?
Oh my gosh, I do. I have lots of thoughts on that, Elizabeth. You are so articulate. Sometimes I have to
Oh,
keep my brain in gear to hear all the messages and the golden nuggets that you have. Um,
thank you.
so the questions that people, when people see the title of this book, right away they're saying, "Oh, were you hurt? Have you been hurt by religion?" And then I explained some of my things, and my biggest one was is that Carol and I were hurt because the Catholic Church wouldn't marry us as a same-sex, lovable, loving couple. And I mean, that was like for 39 years. I wouldn't do that. And so then I would ask them, well, have you been hurt by religion? Or are you connected to a religion now? Are you spiritual and not religious? And then to
Mhm.
ask open-ended questions. Well, what happened or how did you deal with that? Not a yes or a no answer, but to go again underneath that pyramid or that iceberg. What's underneath that? And so last night at a gathering I went to, there were so many people that just wanted to share their religious, spiritual perspectives on it.
Wow.
And anywhere
Yeah.
from forgiveness to oppression to doctrines to not feeling comfortable within that congregation. And just so many things came to light. So many things came to light. And it was so awesome that I'm able to say, hey, November 13th, St. Timothy's Episcopal Church in Brookings, Oregon at 6 o'clock. I'm going to do a presentation. Books will be available and we're going to have a discussion about all of this. And they're like, wow, that's cool because that's what we need. We need to talk about it. So those questions
Nice.
are so important, Elizabeth. Thank you for
Mhm.
bringing that up again. Sometimes we lose
Mhm.
track.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Um, so all of you writers out there, we come on every Friday live and we want to hear your questions. Please drop us a comment of any questions you might have, any area of writing, publishing, and promoting a book. It's our mission to share what we know. I'm the editor, publisher, book coach, and an author myself, best-selling author. And Joni took my 6 months to best-selling book success program and wrote her book in 5 months, and it became a national global bestseller. None Better, an amazing love story. And she's a retired phys ed teacher and former Catholic nun. And she always says if she can write a book, anybody can write a book, but you need help.
Exactly.
And I was the coach to help her do it. And so we want you to share your story. I got to speak at the Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning, and I
Oh, cool.
said, most people, their life story is never written until they're dead and someone's writing their obituary. And so it's so powerful to tell your own story in your words while you're here, while you're coherent, while you're able to reflect. And the sooner you do it, the better impact it's going to have because it'll help you reflect on your past and decide what you want for your future. Do you agree with that, Joni?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And just the release of everything that you have inside of you, when you put that in word, it's a phenomenal feeling. It's a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is. So, anything else you'd like to share about trainings, Joni? Because we want to do them for teachers as well as nonprofits and companies and organizations.
I think it's limitless. I think of families, I think of communities, I think of libraries, I think of gathering places, I think of organizations that have to do with youth, whether that's a team or a club. All those are great, great places that you, Elizabeth, or we can do by Zoom or in person, and to lead them through a way that they can learn in an outline way, as well as just discussion. But yes,
Mhm.
I am so excited to be able to offer us and our books to the world in that education perspective. You're an educator, I'm an educator. I think it's just sort of ingrained in us that
Mhm.
that's what we do. And so
Thank you, Joni.
I
That's
think we're going to now
amazing.
be called the Joyously Free Coaches of America.
Oh, that's incredible. I
Hey, how's
love
that
it.
for a title? The
That
Joyously Free Coaches of America, Elizabeth
that
Ann
is
Atkins
amazing.
and Joanie Lindenmeyer.
Oh, that is so cool. That is so cool, Joni. I love it. Love it, love it.
Yes.
Well, we're so grateful that you joined us today to learn how to use your book as a teaching and training tool. You can do it in person, you can do an online course, you can create a community. The most important thing is you're sharing your wisdom, your knowledge, your inspiration that can help people everywhere. And that's what Joni and I are doing with Joyously Free.
Yes.
So thank you for
And
joining.
with that, one of the questions that came up, Elizabeth, was, well, do you provide a 20-minute lesson? Do you provide an hour? Is it a 2-hour training? Is it a 3-hour training? And we can do all the above because it's already here. It's just a matter of formatting that. And so the training that we did the other day was about an hour with the staff training, and that was
Yeah,
perfect for that occasion. But it can be
right.
lengthened or shortened accordingly,
Yeah,
which I think
yeah.
is awesome.
Yes, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And making it interactive is really important so people can share and have discussions, and that makes more of an impact than just talking at people.
Yep. Activities. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Yes, for
thank you for
sure.
joining us every week here on YouTube on the Two Sisters Writing and Publishing channel. Please check out our 67 other podcasts. It's really wild. We've been doing this for 68 weeks now. And
Oh,
we talk about everything you need to know to write, publish, and promote a great book. I'm Elizabeth Ann Atkins, co-founder of Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. And Joni?
I'm best-selling author Joanie Lindenmeyer, coached by the greatest of all time, Elizabeth Atkins, and I wish you the best, everybody.
Thank you, Joni. And all of you, we wish you happy reading and happy writing. We'll see you next week.
You bet. Bye. Love you. Big hugs.